And the Lord told me in that place, you're going to get to know two people, yourself and me.
Welcome to another week of the Created to Be podcast. I'm your host, Bethany Pygott, joined again by Justin Pygott, my husband.
Hey.
Darius Doc Brown.
Yes, ma'am.
And Brandi Morgan. Hello. And we're going to extend the conversation we had last week about relationships and do a little bit something different with the stretch time this week. But before we get into all of that, we wanted to share some numbers that we've kind of accumulated over the past week, just of the reach of FCA, because we actually didn't have FCA this past week. Women's basketball started their season, and so we were at that. We encouraged people to go support the women's basketball team. And thankfully, we did have some students say, hey, what happened? Why didn't we do FCA? So we know that people are engaged in wanting that and keep coming to us and asking us when the next one's going to be. But Justin, you had some numbers that we accumulated that I thought we could share in this time, just for people to kind of get an idea of like the reach of FCA.
Yeah. So we're just kind of calculate numbers just to kind of see where we're at. And, in regards to athletes, there's 350 athletes roughly. And if you throw cheer and dance and the mascots, that's another 90 athletes to that. So it's like 440. But if you look at the overall in like reach, we're reaching over 300. If you include the cheer and all them as well, we're up to 400 or so, which is awesome. And in that, there's over 100 right now that are engaged. If you include the others, I'm just throwing out numbers, probably at least 120 athletes that are engaged in some way with the FCA. So that's exciting. And then our coach relationships are continuing to grow. And with us being here multiple years and not a ton of turnover on the coaching side. So those relationships are growing and trust is being built. And we're just thankful for that. It's been a lot of fun. I think, football's had a lot of growth in the coaches Bible study. We've had some growth in the men's and women's side of Bible studies and just times of sharing that we've had over the last few weeks. And so it's been a lot of fun.
I have to say this. Great numbers, but you said something that just got my gears going, and I can't stop thinking about it. Mascots, and this is not a disrespect to the mascots, but we would consider them athletes.
There are 9 mascots.
And you have to be athletic to be a mascot?
Yeah, have you seen what they do?
Go around waving, smiling.
You get tired after 30 seconds.
Yeah.
They do not have a fan. Have you ever worn a full body suit like that?
No, I have not.
Okay. Flashback to my childhood. My parents led children's church, and my dad got in a full body dog costume to do these skits. And I'm pretty sure it had a fan that's how I even knew that existed. So when one of the guys that is a mascot came to FCA, I said, you got to tell me. I've wanted to know, do you have a fan? He said, no. So you got to think about those games where at the beginning of the year, especially football, when it's blazing hot outside, and they are just wearing it in that suit for hours.
And that's why I said I wanted to, because he
got to be hydrated. That's
well, he included them. And I wasn't really trying to be disrespectful. I really wasn't. But I was just thinking like athletic. I guess I don't think about athletic and mascot.
Yeah.
I would also like to know what their tryouts look like.
Oh, I know. What does training show? Like, I'm going to go in the mascot suit in a sauna and have to get 30 minutes of training today. I don't know.
That's what I'm saying.
Really
like, what do you have to show that I'm ready to be the mascot? Like, what athletic? And I guess that's just kind of,
We're going to have to get one in.
Yes.
We'll get it on the podcast.
But I know we talk about athletes and coaches, but in that, and then we got the mascots. But if you include, obviously, more beyond that, you got the athletic trainers, you've got the managers, you've got the GAs, you've got the strength trainers. There's so many moving parts to all these different programs. And it's really awesome. I think from our side, we could speak into this a long time. We don't need to, but those stories are so unique. We focus on the athlete and the coach and all that stuff. But it's like, one thing I've told everybody from day one is like every person in here matters. I do not care if you were meeting with Josh Hubbard or if you were meeting with somebody else. We love Josh, and Josh is amazing. But that athletic trainer is a big deal too.
You're right.
Or the manager is a big deal.
When Scott was in here and he was sharing his numbers, what was the number total staff? This is not coaches. But just for football alone, and we were all like,
okay, he said 58 coaches and staff. And then they have 111 players. I looked at that today, 58.
Yeah.
And that's not including, who else did he share with that. It wasn't including managers and athletic trainers and nutrition and all those things. That was just analysts, GAs, position coaches.
Yeah. Yes, and that's what I was going to say. I'm realizing, too, with men's basketball. When you talk about the coaches, the analysts, and all of those people, it's just as many of them as it is players.
Right.
Like, seriously. So, we was, I just think about having that opportunity to be in the locker room and you looking around and it's like, okay, it's a lot of people in here, but all of them are actually connected to the program.
Yeah. They're all contributing.
So in some form.
Well, and they all have significant roles. Like athletic trainers, to me, are some of the most impactful, and strength coaches. Athletic trainers catch people in their worst times.
Yeah.
They're trying to get them back. Again, you got an athlete, the identity is so wrapped up in getting on that court, getting on that field. Athletic trainers are a big part of getting them back. But he also like talking them off the ledge, speaking life into them every day, build-ups as you're working through all the mess to get back on that field. And then even the strength coach spends a lot of time with the athlete, can have a lot of time to speak into that athlete. And I just remember how impactful my strength coach was here and making me love the weight room.
Yeah.
And that relationship was dynamic for me. So these roles and what they do are so, so important. And I notice even the nutritionists in some of their roles. Mary Elizabeth has done a great job transitioning. I'll call her out. I notice a lot of the volleyball girls are in her office and she's just speaking life and encouraging them. So it's neat to see their roles. There's a lot of them that are hidden missionaries. We're the one that has the label. But there are some ones in there that are really just loving on them well and probably behind the scenes praying for them. And it's just, it's awesome. We see ourselves being multiplied all over the place, whether it's us doing that or not. That's not the point, but it's just, it's neat. And hearing all those stories, great.
So in our staff meeting too, there was a question about, what do you mean, Justin, by reached or engaged? So can you clarify that?
Yeah, reached is just like somebody that's participated in a chapel that has been, met us in some way. Maybe it's been in a meeting where we've gotten to know them, or maybe a team meeting where we got to present and share about FCA, things like that. So we're almost reaching the entire athletic department in that regard. And somebody that's engaged is somebody that's been to something 3 to 4 times, something that we have put on, whether it be a huddle, a small group, a team meal, different things like that. So, just that's kind of how we evaluate the difference between reach and engage.
We would hope that there's not an athlete on this campus that would not know that there's FCA.
We'd hope so.
Right.
Yes.
And we think that we're close, if not.
We could be way off, but
yeah,
I think I'm pretty close.
Yeah, because thankfully we have a lot of support, and we're invited at least to that one team meeting if we're not super involved with the program. And so you hope those athletes remember, hey, FCA's here.
Yeah.
I need them.
Yeah. And I mean, something we can add to this too is I get, like, yes, we want to reach everybody. I mean, FCA's mission is to lead every coach and athlete into a growing relationship with Jesus Christ and his church. Like, okay, yes. But I remember being here with Coach Leach in that year that he passed. And before then, we lost a football player. Sam Westmoreland took his life. And that was really tough for the athletic department, everyone. And that at that point, I was just like, you know what? I'm going to have enough staff here to where we can meet every single athlete that comes on this campus, to where we have face-to-face meeting of some sort, to where they know they're not alone. Now, whether the FCA staff person is the one that is the life-changing moment, they just know they have somebody else in their corner and they have another lifeline available for them. And so here we are, 3 years later, and we have, 8 staff, and we're able to serve in that capacity and grow in depth with these relationships.
Yeah. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Saving physical lives, saving spiritual lives.
Yeah.
That's why we're here.
That's awesome. So today we're going to talk about relationships part 2, because we actually record on Thursdays, release on Tuesdays. So this will be after the Monday huddle. And Monday, we are going to have a relationship forum where we talk about the themes that kind of came up with the questions that were submitted were about loneliness and boundaries. So that's a little tease for what's to come at the end of the podcast. But before we do that, a few FCA updates. Brandi's talked about it the past couple of podcasts. We're going to have a pickleball tournament on November 22nd. That registration should be coming out very soon. So look at msufca.org when this podcast comes out, and it should be up hopefully by then so that you can register. And then college getaway, this is for college athletes, will be January 30th through February 1st. We probably won't wear everybody out with that announcement, but just want to throw that out there for anyone listening that can participate in that. That's for Mississippi college athletes. So we're always excited about that. It's always a great time. And we're about to have a great time in this stretch time because actually before we get into this stretch, the past conversation about longest games, I wanted to know if Brandi or Darius watched the end of the World Series because it was funny how the podcast came out after we talked about the 18-inning game, and then the World Series ended on that weekend after we recorded, and then we released the podcast. So it was kind of like the sync was a little bit off with like the timing of how things panned out. But we can still go back and talk about the 11-inning game that happened to seal the deal for the Dodgers. And so I just wanted to know, whenever we were watching that game, I told Justin, you need to text Brandi and Darius right now and see if they're watching this because of all the things that we talked about.
Come on, guys. Don't let me down.
All right. So
I didn't watch the whole game, but I did watch the end of the game.
did you think about it, though, because of our conversation?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I did. And we had a lot going on, but when I realized that it was on, I was like, oh my gosh, I got to watch. And I watched, I don't know, I would say the best innings, but y'all watched the whole
you
game.
watch at the end?
So, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like there were so many crucial plays that I was like, oh, wow. Like
This is
they
what
just
they're
saved the
talking
game.
about.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I watched it, the ending with Brandi. Watched the ending. I wanted to see how it ended. And then you know how you watch ESPN after someone wins the World Series, and once they get the last out, they just start throwing their gloves up and do. So I was like, I can't miss this moment. And then for them to be in extra innings, it made my mind go back to what we had recently discussed. And it was just, and then it was amazing because even though I didn't watch the fullness of the game, I was on edge. Like it was so intense. Like I was on edge, and I was glad that the Dodgers pulled. Something in me just was going for the Dodgers. I don't know what it was, but
Same.
I was like, I want him to, because it looked like the Blue Jays was about to get. They was about to get the
They were so
victory.
close.
It was, and so I'm like, but when he got that out and he just kind of looked up like he was grateful, and the teammates, like that was a big moment for me to just be able to say, I witnessed that. I didn't witness the 18 inning, but I witnessed that. So
Yeah. Well, it's funny because in that other podcast, I was like, I mean, the Dodgers haven't won since they won the 18-inning game. And then by the time the podcast came out,
right,
they won the World
just
Series. So I was like, well, okay. Yeah, that was such a good game. And I didn't feel the best. Like I've had this cold. And so I was sitting in my chair like, and then it was getting close. The Blue Jays almost won. But I jumped out of my chair and whenever there was a solo home run that I think tied it up, I was freaking out. I was like,
I think Bethany is finally a baseball fan.
I
I
don't
think
know.
it's happening.
you think it's coming?
No.
Well, she might be like me. Like if it's just a regular game, but when it's something about the College World Series or things like that, it just, I don't know, it just has a way of pulling me in. But I will say this, Justin, I do believe it's because sometimes I don't know what I'm looking at.
Right.
So if you don't really understand what you're looking at, it's kind of like it adds to the level of me being disinterested sometimes, because it's like I'm watching something, but I don't know what I'm watching. Now, over time, you start picking up on things like a full count. He got it out of the strike zone. It's like, okay, what are they doing? But something about the I guess the magnitude of the moment that pulls me in, and it's like, okay, the stakes are high.
There's so many situations that I was so ignorant of whatever. I was watching baseball that whenever Justin was playing, I had to learn to like the game ish. And so Justin would explain, though, when there's no movement happening, what's actually happening, even though you're not seeing movement. You know, this guy has just walked this guy, or hit the batter, and now he's got to deal with this runner and like all the things that are happening, even though nobody's moving. And so, that made it a little bit more interesting for me.
Yeah.
So he's helped me in that
I love
way.
baseball. Oh, I love it.
But I will admit,
it was probably the best series I've ever seen.
Basketball season has started, and my heart swelled last night. I was so pumped. So
Bethany's alive again.
Yeah, I love that. But the stretch time today, one of the things, we just want to call this the stretch time because, there's things that will like come up that we'll notice that we're like, you know what, we should pause on that and think about that a little bit more. And we kind of talked about this a little bit on the last episode, but just how Snapchat, Instagram, What else? So we talked about TikTok.
TikTok,
When we were talking about those,
Twitter.
yeah, on those sports moments, how
X. I'm sorry. X,
come on,
right.
X. How like just how those things like make you're able to go back to watch those clips, and so then you miss the whole thing. So we were talking about it in that context. But as things have come up with students, Justin and I have just had off the cuff conversations about the whole idea of how Gen Z communicates. And I like to, really embrace how awesome I think being a millennial is. I know that we get a bad rap for certain things.
We're like on the very front side. We're kind of like, I don't know, well, me more than you, being at 84. You're an 87. You're in it more than me.
Yeah, but like, it's like I can remember when like the dial-up internet happened.
Yes.
I can remember phones being on the wall and
You
you have
remember
to
the sound.
call your friend from the house phone. Like I remember that, but then also young enough to embrace technology. I mean, I didn't have my first brick Nokia phone that I had to share with my sister till my junior year of high school.
You had to share it? How did
We
that
were like
work?
in the same grade. So it was like, it was mainly just, and we could drive, she could drive. So it wasn't like, it wasn't like you were having to be somewhere and you didn't have a phone. Like we were doing basketball together. We were doing stuff together. So we just needed it for like if we needed to call our mom real quick or something.
Gotcha.
Brick phone.
Yeah.
I
Nokia,
brought
do you
that
remember
phone.
that? You got to click 3 times to get to the ABCC.
Oh, yeah, yes.
If
When
you
you
want to do
text it.
text. That was
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
But that again, you had this, you could start texting. Well, I know that was like an additional charge or whatever, but that was a change in how we communicated. And then that's what we embraced, our generation. But then we have this other way of like, it's already emerged, but continuing to emerge how this next generation communicates and connects with each other. And so we're going to talk about that because there's just some like really interesting things, do some pros and cons. The first thing I wanted to ask you guys, and hopefully this is accurate, and if there are some college athletes, college students, age Gen Zers listening, y'all feel free to correct us. But
Oh, they will.
that's not going to be an issue. But I saw on an article like some emojis that are used in text messaging, and I just wanted to see who knows what these are because I missed some of them for sure. Okay, so if somebody puts a skull in conversation with you, if they send you a skull, maybe it's just solo or just like with a few words. What do you think that means?
Like you
I'm
got
dead.
crushed.
Yes.
You got crushed. Like you just got crushed. Like, or whatever it's community.
I'm
Like,
thinking like I'm dead.
Yes.
Like in
something
what way,
negative.
though?
Something
Negative?
in a negative connotation.
Yeah,
you say
negative or positive. Like if you send something that's like really funny, like I'm dead.
Yes.
ding, ding, ding.
Yes. I was going to say negative because I guess when she said both, I done seen it in both ways.
Yeah.
Like somebody could text me and be like, such and such, she really messed up when she sang today.
Yeah.
And then they send the skull. And then, and like, or I may reply with the skull like, yeah, it wasn't good. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
It just kind of, I guess, depends. But
Yeah, so that's what it said on here, often used for extreme laughter.
Yeah.
Being dead from.
Gotcha.
yeah, like you just got crushed. Like they just blew you up with that joke or something. Like that's kind of what I was,
I was
Yeah.
thinking, okay, yeah.
if you were tracking with me. But
Yeah.
As you can see, we're already showing the difference in generation.
Well, you're the youngest, right?
Yes,
Gotcha.
I'm the youngest. You're right.
But I do have teenagers.
I was about to say,
Yes.
brain. That's why
So
I'm like, this
she-
side of the table. What about a clown face?
Okay, hold on. A clown face. I don't get clown faces much.
I mean,
but
I
you
would
do?
just
I
say
don't
you're
get it.
typical. You're clowning. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that's what I
Like
would
you're acting.
suggest. Like something that's just still connected with something of amusement, a joke, something of that nature.
I guess.
no.
Yeah, use sarcastically to call something or someone ridiculous.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
this one should be pretty easy. You know the face, y'all can't see me who's listening, but like it's like it says pleading face. Why you would use that?
I think we should have had a picture of emojis to kind of help
I know.
us out.
Maybe I should like make it like this.
I mean, they're sad.
Let me see that.
You can't cheat though.
I'm not gonna cheat. I promise.
Okay.
This,
Yeah.
this.
Now that phase, when I've gotten that phase, it has been more like sometimes something's something that could be heartwarming. Like just say you send me a picture of Ben and your children, and it kind of gets to me, and I can send that emoji. That's
That's normal.
Heartstrings.
Yeah, that's normally what I would look for.
yeah. That's I've seen that. Or if something is that, or if something is sad, you know, you get. So but yeah, there's
Yeah, like or a plea for something like, please, like you see for your
Like a
kids.
puffy face.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, what about, I think we could all get this one, like the fire emoji.
That was lit.
Look at Brandi.
Yeah,
There
yeah,
you go,
yeah.
Brandi.
She read my notes. No, just kidding. She knows. What about like the eyeballs? I don't know why I sent.
Oh, just eyes.
It's shocking information. Can't believe this. Is
Yeah.
this really true?
Yeah.
Like that type of stuff.
I would use it. I've used it like, I use the example, one of the track athletes was on the Jumbotron and I was at the game and I just sent her, I think I just sent her eyeballs. Like I saw that. So I don't
Yeah.
necessarily use it in that
I think
same
I've
way.
seen it as like if I send a message to somebody or something, it's like unexpected. Like, look at that. Like,
Yeah,
you know.
I think you're using it the right way.
okay.
This one is a little bit tricky because I don't know this language, but like a baseball cap.
The baseball cap? Cap it? Somebody cap it?
Yeah, like their line.
Yeah. Yeah, you cap it.
Oh, I no.
Like, no.
No,
I know. Yeah, like no cap. no
That's
lock.
cap. That's cap.
Yeah, I've never used
Like
that
somebody,
word.
it could be like, so to help you, Justin, if you don't know, I go like, man, I'm 6'3". You be like, that's cap.
Okay.
You capping.
Well, it took me.
Okay,
It was just
so
2 years ago to figure out what bet meant. So yeah, I didn't know. Hey, you know,
Oh,
Yes.
You were told one day by some baseball guys you had a grout fit on.
yeah, a grout fit. And I was like, oh, what's a grout fit? It's like just a gray outfit.
Gray on, gray on.
Gray on, gray on, gray. It's a grout fit.
Nah, I've never heard that one, but that's good. A grout fit.
Like, I like that. I like
Justin
grout
came
fits a
home.
lot,
He was
actually.
like, man,
You know what I
I
thought?
had a grout fit on.
You know what I thought he was gonna say? A grandpa outfit.
Yeah.
Like, I thought he was
He
saying
is 40 now, so.
No, but he's not at the grandpa stage yet. A grout fit. That's nice though.
That's nice.
A grout fit.
Okay, so the last one is like the emoji with the like tears stream.
Okay, now you know it's two of them. It's two emojis with tears.
Right.
One
This
with the
is
tears
just
is
the
a straight down. Oh, this you sad something that's hurtful.
heartbroken.
Yeah.
It is, but you have another.
No, I had.
Okay, apparently it's like extreme emotion. So it could
Okay.
be not necessarily sadness, but like just
Got it.
extreme,
Okay.
beyond the normal level sadness.
Hmm.
I know that you looked up some stats, Justin, but I was looking at like what are the most used, and it's like TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram, and YouTube actually. But TikTok is for sure like where I have not downloaded TikTok. I'm still on like I won't do it, but people say that that's where they find their products. That's where they find new things. And then of course the dances, which I feel like that took off or whatever you call it.
I taught 8th grade last year, and that is all they did.
Yeah.
TikToks.
Yeah. So, I mean, like that's even funny that it's like a noun. Like all they did was TikToks. Like that's a thing,
Yeah.
you know?
Nothing has ever really interested me about getting TikTok for me. So that's why I just have not.
The only thing is, like, I got on during COVID because me and my kids and Brett sometimes did those dances. But like when you swipe, you never know what's coming next. So like all of a
that's so
sudden
scary.
a cuss word would come out on something, and I'm like, I have my kids sitting beside me. I don't necessarily want them to hear that on my phone. So I deleted it after that. But that was just, and you might can control it. I don't know.
Right. Maybe there's some settings or
Yeah,
something.
If you got
there
some
are-
settings, let me know.
Yeah, there are settings that you can kind of influence what you want to see. Now, I was I was late to the party with TikTok with the people that I'm surrounded by. They was on it. But I'm going to tell you this, Justin. This is what pulls you in with TikTok.
Okay. Okay.
I'm serious. It
Tell
pulls
us.
you in. What happens is you end up running into something that interests you. And
Do you have an example?
okay, so like he talks about baseball, and there may be the intricate parts of baseball that he likes, and then there may be certain athletes that he like, and they are doing what we're doing, like podcasting with videos, and they're talking about different scenarios, different how I was feeling in those moments, and that has the ability to kind of pull them in, and it's like, okay, and then you kind of get connected to those people, you get connected to those different things. Now, so that I'm saying, like, that's kind of what happened with me. Like, I'm on TikTok, I use it for and it's crazy I got on there. So I'll just share this with you. I posted a video on TikTok by accident. Well, I don't want to say by accident, but I just did it. I did it just to do it. Well, what happened, I'm on Facebook. Like, I did it, took the TikTok app off.
But what was it?
So it was a video literally of me in my house playing around singing.
Okay.
And I just was
I
playing.
assumed that.
So what happened, I deleted the app off my phone. Well, I'm on Facebook months and months later, and it's like everybody keeps sharing this video from TikTok. And what happened, somebody screen recorded the video and posted it on I can't stand, that's a pet peeve of mine when they do that. Like, instead of just sharing it, they screen recorded it and posted it. So it looked like the video was from them, but because people knew me, they started tagging me in it. And it had so many hits. So when I went back to TikTok, one video, I already had like 7,000 followers. Like, yeah, so it's like off one video. And so
could you share this podcast on that TikTok?
I can share it. Yes. I've actually
on that account.
I've actually shared I can do that, but I've actually shared like certain FCA moments that we have had. Yeah. And like, you see the hits from it, because it's really in time with a lot of things today. But yeah, I'm saying it's shopping or like learning how to do stuff like podcasting, learning what to get, where to go and shop from, like getting information. Like, it's just an information hub. But it's like what she said, you do have to put on the stipulations.
If you look mainly at one thing, will your feed or whatever that's called shows mostly that type of stuff?
Mostly that.
So where you spend most of your time is what they feed you.
Yes, a lot of times that's what's going to constantly be.
But what is so different about it than Instagram?
So TikTok is short videos. Instagram, a lot of times, even though they having short videos, Instagram.
It's TikTok only videos.
Mostly. So it's like mostly videos, and then people actually doing like lives. Because some people on there, like, if they're selling stuff, they on there like actually going live promoting and doing like real life shows of, hey, if you want this, and they post it and then look in the comments. Okay, Miss Gladys 33. Okay, just put it like it's like stuff like that. So it's kind of like they're very similar. I mean, they're very similar. It's almost like Instagram and YouTube came together and brought.
But it sounds like it's more about like sharing information.
It is. It's sharing information. I'm gonna say this: sharing information, inviting people into your space.
But do people use it personally like you do? Like, here's our Easter photos. Here's our.
Yes.
They do. Okay.
Yes. So it's like it. That's why I say it's Instagram. It's TikTok to me. It's like Instagram, Snapchat, and YouTube all in one. It's and it's an art to it. I started noticing even with posting videos, most of the videos that get most hits, 10, 15 seconds.
Tons. Right.
You put 2 minute, 3 minute video. Unless that person has a great audience already, but most of the videos that go viral, and it's like I'll give you this example. There's a viral, like, so just say you post something, you can be like, oh wow, I can take your sound and put it with another video, and it keeps but I'm gonna say this, it's funny because it's like there's a sound that's viral right now, and everybody.
Wait, you're saying a sound?
Like a sound bite. So it's a sound bite that's viral right now that says, "Nothing beats a Jet 2 holiday."
Yeah.
So this is the thing. Every time you hear that sound bite, most of the time the video is connected to is of something funny or something crazy. So when you hear that "Nothing beats a Jet 2 holiday," it could be somebody sitting in the chair and falling out the chair, or somebody slipping down the steps. So it's like, it's very interesting. Now, I will say this. I've had to learn this because I was not a TikTok person at first. but it can be very time consuming.
Oh,
Yeah, because it's amazing how the little 15-second interval videos can turn into 2 hours
Right.
of just scrolling and looking and scrolling. And it's a lot of information. It really is. So I just, it's to each his own. Everybody.
Well, you mentioned that it's an art form. So as I was reading, y'all, I had to read up on stuff because I don't live this. But as I was researching that, like, the people are, like, that's part of the draw with the generation is that it is an art form. Like, that they want the communication. Like, when I have that brick phone and I'm having to push 3 times to get to a certain letter before I go to the next one, I'm not thinking about curating art in my text message. But, like, that's kind of what it's pushing towards, it sounds like, is it's not just me telling Brandi, hey, this is what's going on in my day. It's, like, showing her, like, I want to, like, make it expressive in how my day is going. You know what I'm saying? And so then what's kind of ties into that ambiguous space of interpretation is I was thinking about what art is supposed to do. And I didn't grow up learning this stuff because it was very much like you play sports, you work hard for what you get. That there wasn't much interpreting things going on in my home. Like, this is just not what I grew up in. But when you go to museums and stuff, you're supposed to be able to, I think, look at a piece of art, look at it for a while, and basically think about life. What does this mean to me? What is this saying to me? And that's a huge space of interpretation that Brandi could look at the art, and you could, and you could, and I could, and we'd all walk away with completely different interpretation. Yes. And so that's where I think that it's cool that you could create some kind of art form through communicating, but also you're making this bigger space for how this could be interpreted, which then has so many different issues. It's not just, hey, Darius, I did this today, and that's just where the interpretation stops. It could be so many things in between and things taken out of context and all that stuff because we're trying to create all this art.
And I feel like it causes people to, you can see it. People get overindulged, and then it almost calls or creates different personalities with the same person. Because it starts off as I'm maybe just showing this, but then as your audience grows, people start wanting more.
Right.
Then you feel the responsibility to be a thing that initially started with you being you.
Right.
You get what I mean? It's like it becomes a brand. It started out as me, Darius, Dr. Person. Now it's a brand. Yeah. Now I got and I'm gonna say this. I just feel like besides Jesus, too much of anything can be dangerous.
Yeah.
And I've had to go through moments where I am disconnecting because it's really just not healthy. You like, it's not always healthy because you gotta think you're always being introduced to something else.
Right. It doesn't stop.
It doesn't.
What do you think of all this, Justin?
I liked your perspective on the art.
Thank you very much.
That made me appreciate it a little bit more. But I still am just stuck in the whole, like, relational maturity world that can only get ironed out through just face-to-face and being in situations and things that get said to you. And you have to choose and learn how to not be offended and to be able to have a conversation. And I don't know if this can shortcut that at all. I like the artwork, and I think it's good. I think you can go back to the past of, like, art was significant in word form and the way people could write it out, like authors and things, and they could paint a picture for you and tell a story, which storytelling is still very, very important. People are still writing books. This is like a whole different perspective of now adding just into videos, through pictures, through, I don't know, a variety of things. I'm not real artsy in that world, but I get what you're saying. So I do have a greater appreciation for that. Digital creative.
Yes. Did you have some thoughts, Brandi?
I mean, I think it could be cool. I would fall in the world of I would get sucked in and spend way too much time, and I just don't have the time.
Right.
So I'm like, if we say we're as busy as we say we are,
sure,
how do we find the space to do it?
Right.
Mm-hmm. That's where I fall in. Like, if I can't find time to read my word, or I can't find time to do whatever needs to be done, I'm off the floor, whatever. Right. Like, how can I find time to sit down for 30 minutes and scroll? Even if it's unintentional.
Yeah, like, I think that that's how I would think. But what I'm wondering, this is where we need younger people maybe to chime in, but it's like they don't even have that distinction. Like they just know this is what communication is, right? Like I'm sending a message and there's always a sender, receiver, and then an interpretation. And I don't know that, how do you know what Darius intended with those words or that picture or that video is how I received it.
Yes.
And so that it's funny. I was talking about with Justin yesterday how when we were first, I don't know that we were dating yet, but I remember distinctly being on the bus going to a basketball trip, and I had text Justin something, and then I'm just on the bus. So, there's all this, like, just
answer me now, Justin.
Yeah. And I'm looking at this, and I'm like, when's he going to answer? He's not answering yet. And then, Justin, if you've received a message from him, text message, there's no fluff. Like, it's just going to be information. And so even with that, I was saying that was, like, probably the biggest part of, like, he was so straightforward. He wouldn't add any kind of, like, warmth to it or, like, whatever. And so I'm having to figure out, does this guy like me? Like, I can't.
Apparently, I was pretty boring back in the day.
No,
Still
not
am a
boring.
little bit.
Not
But
boring. But I'm just saying that's
too serious.
That's the space. That's the ambiguity that was there. Was just a straightforward text message. I'm having and so I'm thinking there's more to it than there actually. And he's like, I'm just meaning what I said. Like I just said what I meant.
Yeah.
But when you add all these other creative elements to it, how much more space for interpretation there is?
Yeah.
That I'm like, that's a lot to have to navigate to make sure that messages are being interpreted the way the person sending them meant them to be.
Yeah.
But that's why I think the communication between generations are important.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, I was listening to what Brandi was saying, and she was like, she would get sucked in. If I don't have time, why can I find time to? But I think with the younger generation, we have to realize, like, they came into a world that was already operating like what they're in.
Yeah.
So
they don't know the difference.
So, right. So it's like when my grandparents trying to tell me,
right,
we didn't have a TV in the house. We turned the radio on and we just listened to the baseball game. And it's almost like expecting me to comprehend that when I've come into a world where we've always had a colored TV.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We always have phones. We always like to think about, like, and I'm like this. We got like GPS now. I remember, like, when I was smaller, my parents would get the big map out. Like, and so I'm saying, you think about trying to do that today, like, and so I'm saying sometimes they don't, I feel like they don't understand the aspect of, or they may not be able to relate to the aspect of, I don't have time for something that I've always been a part of. It's like, how can, and so that's where sometimes the communication between generations, where it's like, hey, okay, you said that you don't have time, I'm just going to say this, to read your Bible. And these apps do this. These apps can show you how much time I've been on them. Then they also have a way where, I don't know if it's like this with all of the apps, but I know, like, Facebook has a way where you can shut down, you can put a setting on there where you can't get on once this particular time happens. And so it's like being able to have that personal Justin communication says, okay, you didn't have no time to read your Bible, but you went to practice, athlete, you did your work, and then you spent 3 hours on TikTok.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm saying, but that a lot of times comes through personal, because I'll say this morning, and I'm saying this as it relates to this morning, like, God started dealing with me, like, you're saying you're spending time with me, but you're really just listening to another preacher preach.
Mm-hmm.
You're not.
Little fire emoji.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, it's like you're saying you're spending time with me, but you really just spend time with such and such. What he said so what I'm saying is, it's like he brought my mind to, no, I want you to actually read my word, communicate. Like, don't let this communication be defined through a different means when I want to, and I'm saying, but it's sometimes on the flip side, it could be that same conversation with a generation. Well, we don't understand this holistically, but we also understand the foundation of life. You're going to have to be able to talk to a person. You're going to have to be able to look at how you're investing time. Am I investing or am I wasting time? Am I losing time? Like, those are generational conversations. So I feel like in the reality, we could help a generation behind us, and then they can also help us to be able to,
Well, I never thought about it like
Yeah.
that, but you saying like they were born into it. Like I'm
Right.
trying to find ways to add that into my space. Like
Yes.
it's already in their space.
Yeah, it's
Right.
already in it.
Yeah.
And this is what I will say. If we don't learn to adjust, because you got to think about it, the world is not going to reverse for us.
Right.
Like, I see people all the time, I don't want no, older, seasoned people. Let me say it that way, seasoned.
Season.
I don't want another upgrade to my phone.
Yeah.
And
Your phone's not going to work.
and that's the thing. It's like, okay, you don't have to get an upgrade, but in a few years you will not be able to operate because it's things are transitioning. So I do believe that there's a space for, like you said, it's a world that they're born into. I feel like that's what reciprocity is. They can kind of bring you into their space, and we can kind of merge the two. They don't have to, we don't have to fight each other, but we can.
Yeah. So as you were talking, I was thinking about several years ago, I was introduced to he's called a neurotheologian, but it's basically like theology and the brain and how the brain works. And really, communication styles or forms have always changed. Like that's not a new thing. But what people need is quiet, rest, and joy. And you can't have so much of one thing and then not have to be kind of balanced. You need both.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing is we can create these like, well, this app is good or this app or time on this is good or this, and make these like categories of good, bad, right, wrong. But it's just it's a style of communication. What you need is that rhythm of joy and rest and joy and rest. And so if you are getting connection with people and that's all you get is like, that's where you're spending your time, you're going to wear yourself out because you're not making time to back away and have some quiet.
Yes.
And that's where these practices that people have practiced with the Lord for so many years, that's why it's so helpful, is because you can have that back and forth. It's not necessarily like, this is right, this is wrong. Anyway, so it's like quiet and rest. And it's going to keep, that method of communication is just going to keep forming and shaping and moving that way. Like you said, it's probably, I do think there might be a contingent of people that are like, we're over that. Like it's just too much noise all the time.
Yeah.
And the only way I can get that quiet is to not have that in my life.
I think if you have all of those different forms of social media, that can be too much. Like, let's just choose one or two.
But it's because you do need, like how you're designed is to need quiet. That's why. Like that's what you need.
And the systems are being created to make you, like, just say if I only want to do one or two, but how they're making them now, they making them where they almost all are connected.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And so it's like, and that's where that having that ability to have control, make the decision that says, okay, I'm not going to allow this to drive my life. I'm going to drive what I want to do, and that comes with conversation with people who are excelling on the other side. So, who may not have all of those things, but they are great, like you said, in those areas of peace and joy. Because that's why I said sometimes the overindulgence, it's the truth. I'm listening to a mother talk about she lost her 3-4 children, like that weighs on my spirit. Right. Then you go to another person who doesn't, like, and you continue to consume that. It's
gotta
like
have a break.
Yes, it's like, man, it'll weigh on you. So I think that there's benefits on both sides, but it just have to be put in context.
There's something else I didn't know. It's with term. Justin, you say it.
Ephemeral.
Okay, do you know what this word is? Either of you, Darius or Brandi?
No.
We ran across this. This is very common let me give you some context clues. People use Snapchat for this reason. Or there's a texting app called Signal that people use for this reason.
I have no idea.
Snapchat. I mean, everything disappears. Oh, everything disappears in Snapchat.
So that's what that fancy word is for.
Is it what? What is it for?
It's the term for mobile to mobile transmission of messages that automatically disappear from the screen after the message has been viewed.
You didn't see anything.
You didn't see anything. So that's new. I mean, I know Justin likes to get on, a soapbox about that, not liking in particular that there's the pros and cons. You know, you don't want stuff out there all the time for privacy reasons, just in general.
Well, but also you send something that you think is about to go away, but they screenshot it. Now what?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
True. Gotcha. What were you going to say, Justin?
This is just an overview of an article that I read, the few that I did, not many. It says Snapchat's disappearing content fosters spontaneity, letting Gen Z share authentic moments without judgment or pressure. Privacy-driven features empower Gen Z to connect meaningfully with close friends rather than performing for an audience. And then creative tools, streaks, and low-pressure communication.
Streaks, that's like a new thing.
And low-pressure communication makes Snapchat a playful, personal, and engaging digital space. So there you go.
Playful, personal.
Yeah, but I mean, honestly, it probably started as that, and maybe I'm dealing with people who are a little more immature.
Yeah.
But they do streaks, and they don't want to lose their streak. But they literally send a picture of the ceiling.
Yeah.
Or their shoe, or something random. What kind of streak is that?
Well, we can't at least show it shows commitment.
Yeah, I mean, this is true because I even said they would break up with each other, but they didn't want to break their streak. So they would continue to send pictures because they would have a 90-day streak.
Yeah, but see, now that's where the context of you just holding on to something that should just, let go. You kind of keeping the door open.
Yeah. Justin,
I don't know.
A huge yawn.
But he's such, but Justin is such a.
He's like, this is all too much.
I was gonna say, I was just about to say that when I'm listening to the podcast and everything we're talking about, and I'm just looking at him, it's like he is such a personable person.
Yeah,
it seemed like all of this extra is
too much.
We're doing too much.
Maybe he's gonna lead the charge. Go back to the brick phone.
No,
I'm just kidding.
Hey, I said I wanted a flip phone.
Yeah.
I do think the messages disappearing can be a problem. Just especially being a guy and knowing how guys operate and knowing how I have tended to operate. I think that can be pretty dangerous. So
yeah, because there's no accountability or you could be a certain way or do something inappropriate and then just not. There's no but. Like Brandi said, people do screenshots sometimes.
Or and sometimes somebody said, I've been on there, somebody send you a message and you open it and get out and you never saw it.
Right. Yeah.
And it's kind of like B looking for that response and it's like,
but I don't know what you said.
Yeah, I don't know what you said. I opened it, but it's to each his own.
Yeah.
Everybody.
As a parent, I do not like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I'm not a fan as a parent.
Do you think that all these things that we're saying, and if it doesn't make sense to someone who's been born into all of this, there are just certain things about how we were created and designed relationally. There are skills that you can only learn in face-to-face communication, and your brain can only mature in face-to-face communication. So how you communicate, the form may change, but those skills are not transferred in the form of TikTok or in the form of even a text message. Yeah. The relational brain skills are you are shaped that way through face-to-face because someone else has that skill.
Yes.
So
I totally appreciate the way communication is now in this. I get it, the art form and all of it and how they like the loose fun, what I keep reading about it, I get it. But it's just the foundational things of face-to-face and how important that is. The skills that you can only learn through face-to-face. As we move further away from that, the capacity to take in and to be stable as a person and it's not there. It's not able to handle it. And so it becomes too much. The noise becomes too much. The mental health is just not there. The stability is not there.
There's not the skills to navigate the stuff coming. But I was just thinking about an analogy, maybe a sports analogy would be completely cut the fundamentals from practice.
Yeah, just play. Just play the game.
And then just the pretty stuff, which is what we get to watch on the field, when you actually play a game and stuff like that, that's what you're keeping, but you're taking all this other stuff out. You're not going to have a very successful game. Yeah. I sit in practices all the time, and what the coaches are emphasizing the most the discipline of fundamentals. Your hips need to be like this, your feet need to be like this, or you're going to get beat. Or if you do this on defense, like, we're going to lose the game. So, I mean, it would be like that.
Yeah, for
in
sure.
this space.
And I, like you said, I don't remember if it was you or Justin, but I think it was Justin just said it. Like, the fundamental of being a human.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I was just sitting there thinking, it's like, and I, being younger, like, I just have to tell myself, I'm not a robot.
Yeah.
Like, because it gets to the point where it almost pushes that agenda for people not to evolve the correct way. And then if I am confronted with life, or I am confronted with a real situation, I am confronted with a coach telling me truth that could be challenging, it could be overwhelming because I'm not used to communicating or expressing or, personally having those conversations or dealing with people. It's almost like it could really encourage a person to create their own world to live in or their own bubble, as opposed to evolving and to know how to communicate, know how to give, know how to take, know how to go in, go out. It's almost like with these, the way things are created, you really almost don't have to do any of those things.
Right.
I mean, you just don't. You can stay on your phone all day. You can stay streaming all day. You can, like, to the point where people can say, they can comment, but you don't have to. I don't have to really deal with, like you was talking earlier. I don't have to deal with that, and I think that is a challenge for this generation that is the Gen Z, and then the ones that's coming behind them.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's going to be a great challenge, because it's like, and I'm not trying to be spooky, but when you really just start to think, it's like sometimes so much of this stuff is going on. It's almost like they even taking away our ability to just think. You don't even just think for yourself. And I'm saying, so as I'm thinking about some of the things y'all are saying, I do believe a lot of people will see themselves evolve a little more if they could say, okay, just let me take a step back and kind of, just be a free thinker. Let me have those moments where I'm communicating with something. Let's just go get coffee. We're going to put our phones down. We're not going to be on the phone. We're going to talk. And like those things to kind of see where you are as a person. Because I do believe he was talking about mental health. And if you think about it, mental health, people dealing with depression, all those things have increased as some of this other stuff has increased.
Oh, yeah, there's stats, all kinds of stats.
You know,
about it.
Loneliness has increased.
Loneliness, yes, all of those. So it's not that I'm trying to be, spooky,
Sure.
but I do think it's something that we have to kind of challenge ourselves to make sure that we are,
Well, and then you get exposed in these spaces where fundamentals do matter. Maybe not, I mean, yes, relational fundamentals, but legitimate sports fundamentals, like the basic building block of anything that you're doing. But if you can't focus because your brain is used to doing things just
quick,
then that's, I think, what I probably see, because I'll hear coaches directing their team and I'm thinking, this is great coaching. Like, come on, like, oh, take me back to high school and give me somebody like that knows how to do both, understand the generation, but then also teach me what I need to know to make me successful. And sometimes I don't even know if athletes can hear that they're actually getting good coaching because they're making them stop.
I've heard a lot of great coaching over at just the baseball field.
Yeah.
In my 3 years of being around the program.
Right.
All right. From the old coach staff, new coach staff.
But it's almost like teaching the fundamentals is critical.
But then I ask the players sometimes, like, what do you think about that? Blah, blah, different things. And this is not against any of the players. It's just like, well, I already kind of knew that. Or it wasn't like a big deal. And I was like, dude, I want to run through the wall for that coach. Like, you don't catch what, and some of them respond well.
Right.
But some of them, they just were like, it's new. And I'm like, dude, you're getting gold right now.
Right.
Really?
Do you know?
Yeah. Like,
yeah, it's just interesting. So we're going to transition out of the stretch time. That was good. That was helpful for me. Think through some of those thoughts. But you mentioned loneliness and the stats that increase with social media use and all the streaming and things like that. The question that came up, ironically, in some of these questions we've collected was about loneliness. There were several about how do you deal with seasons of loneliness. And then the other side was like, how do you deal with, if you're waiting on someone, how do you hold out basically and have boundaries and not get discouraged? That's kind of how I interpreted the two questions. So we want to just talk about that as we wrap up the podcast today. So if you have anything about either of those, like have you been through a season of loneliness? Have you dealt with boundaries? How did you do that? Things like that.
I would say to start off, like, we look at that as such a bad thing.
Loneliness?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or like singleness. But really that can set the stage for what the Lord has for you.
Mm-hmm.
I was listening to this story. This lady, she felt like she was being led by the Lord to break up with her boyfriend. Wasn't who she was going to marry, but then like stay single for 7 years. And she said that it was really hard, that she cried through it all. Like she would pick up her Bible to read and she was like, why are you doing this to me? And he was like, but you get me. And so like having your heart prepared for that next stage, I think is so crucial. And that's something that because of the world we live in, we rush past that. It's like, hey, we're supposed to be married at this point. Why? What's happening? Instead of just enjoying that moment of singleness and growing in the Lord and letting him prepare us and not settling.
Yeah,
because-
singleness is a gift.
Yeah.
To really focus on working what's below the waterline. You know, just the whole iceberg concept. 10% of the iceberg is above the water. 90% is below it. Yeah. What is underneath? And who are you bringing into your life? And are you stable enough? Have you invested in what's underneath to where you can lead that, handle that well, handle all the things that come with that well in that relationship? It is really a gift. And you learn so much about yourself. You learn how to love yourself as well. And I mean, it's hard to love somebody else well if you don't love yourself. I don't think that's possible.
Yeah. So yes, I wanted to just kind of piggyback and just talk about what it means to deal with isolation. I was always on platforms as a child singing, and the Lord called me to give it up, and it was a struggle. But he one of the things he told me was, you know, this is not where I called you to be when you can't be who I made you to be, and so he pulled me off. Well, a month later, I come into contact with a great producer. I do some studio work, and he was like, man, I've been looking for him. And so I'm like, so God wanted me to give it up so he could give it back. Yeah. You know, that, and the Lord said no. And so I went through seasons. It was hard of isolation, but this is one thing that the Lord told me. I remember him saying the same place that the enemy tried to kill you is oftentimes the same place that God want to build you. Isolation. A lot of times people run from isolation because don't want to deal with those thoughts, don't want to deal with, you know, and sometimes in that place, there's a suppression of the truth. Everything wrong is magnified. And the Lord told me in that place, you're going to get to know two people, yourself and me. And that perspective shift caused me to be able to take advantage of everything that he wanted to do in my life. And he began to just show me a lot of things that I was dependent on, a lot of things I was leaning on. And so I would just like to say this to encourage somebody that may be going through a season of isolation. You know, it's a place of where God refines us. It's a place where he really affirms who he has called us and made us to be. And then, you know, you was talking about trust, loneliness. Excuse me. You was talking about loneliness. I believe that what I've learned in those spaces is, do we really trust God? Because when you really trust God, you realize God is not trying to figure out what he wants to do with your life. He wants you to be able to trust him even in those moments, because it is a tough thing to see people who made decisions because they couldn't wait it out.
Right.
And now they're suffering. It's like you couldn't wait it out. And this is the thing. I just know this, that with God, with the Lord, with me, it was not just getting you. I'm going to say this. Don't miss the beauty of your journey because you're too focused on the destination. We're evolving. And a lot of times Justin, you said it best. A lot of people don't know. I feel like this. A lot of people sometimes attract the wrong things or get involved in the wrong things because they have not been okay with taking the time to get to really know themselves. And how you get to really know yourself is getting to know the Lord. He shows you who you are, shows you your purpose. He shows you your makeup, which henceforth in relationship, it shows you who you should be with, who you shouldn't be with. You know, if you're a person that loves ministry, you love serving, why would the Lord put you with someone who does not like those things at all?
Right.
Like God puts purpose with purpose, but a lot of times we forfeit that because in that place of isolation where the Lord really wants to deal with us, you know, and you take sports, it's like somebody just want to show up on game night, but don't want to go through the training camp, don't want to go through the, all of you, it's, you know, so
much of, I think, any season is about how we were talking about messaging, how we interpret it.
Yeah.
So off the top, when we say loneliness or isolation or singleness, I feel like they all have negative connotations for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can just accept a different definition of that and interpretation of what that means, that could be freeing for you.
Yes.
We got married right after college. We did have 4 years before we had our first child, but we moved. There's so many things that were so wonderful about being married, but also a lot of things that were hard. And I think that, like you said, you can focus so much on that next stage, you miss what you're in. And there are people that are single, and if they want to go with their friends and go eat, and they can go to,
travel.
I would go to a
Just for
basketball.
that,
They can go travel. There are things that you can do in that season that you cannot do when you have a newborn.
Yes.
And you're trying to figure this out. And we were 10 hours from the closest family that we had at the time. We were in Florida. So it was like, we don't have that option to just come and watch the kids so we can go do this. I mean, things can get more complicated to do certain things. But if you're in that, if you think that's the life that you want, then you miss the opportunities that you have to just go do stuff that you want to do.
Even,
Just
but
practice.
you saying that, it's like that even when you get married.
For sure.
Because I was thinking about before I got married, I could just up and go. You talking about travel? If I felt like going, I could do it. But then once I got married, it's like
somebody else has to be.
Yes,
I mean,
and then they have to be accountable, and they have to sign off on it. Like I could say, I'm going to the gym at such and such. No, we have to do. You know, it's like it was a shift, and so I say that because thankfully, I married the right person, Santana. I love her. Like, man, she's just everything to me. But I can also say I've been around divorce. I've been around a lot of people around my life got divorced. So I saw what that looks like. And I'm just going to say this. The pain of doing it wrong far outweighs the gains of doing it right. Like, and so you said it best. Accepting, and you said a different definition, but I want to say it like this, Bethany, if I can. Accepting the proper definition.
Yeah, for sure.
Because we have allowed so many of these words out here to be, first thing you hear them, it's a negative connotation because how they've been portrayed.
Right.
But when you think about it, as far as in its proper context, you know, we would be a lot better. Loneliness, singleness, you know, that doesn't mean something wrong with you.
That is like pitted against marriage. And all I'm saying is that there's a reality to all of it, that there's a lot that you have to navigate. And there's opportunities in each. If we don't pit these things against each other and accept like the proper definition or interpretation of it, we can just enjoy it.
Yes.
So that's what I would say to people is enjoy it. Don't be so fearful. That's another thing you talked about, that God asking you to give something up. There's so much fear wrapped behind, well, what if this doesn't work out? What if he doesn't give me something good in return or whatever? And that's what I've learned is that that's all he can do is give. Like anytime I've been asked to give something up, there has anything that I feared, it didn't happen from him, you know?
Yes.
And so just realizing that that is actually what's the case, not all of these other things that I'm thinking about. But I did want to talk about boundaries real quick. Justin, you can share real quick about boundaries just in relationships, what you had a conviction for, and maybe anything you want to share about that, like to struggle with that, but then how, because I know that once you get to a certain place in a relationship, if you don't already know in advance, there's a story in Genesis, I think it's 39, about Joseph.
Yeah.
And really he made in his mind what he was going to do. And so he already knew in advance where he stood on something before the situation happened. And that's what I would encourage people to think about. But sometimes they don't even know what those boundaries should be.
Exactly. Sometimes you got to face the struggle first before you know, man, I can't go there again, you know?
Right. So I didn't know if you could speak to that.
Yeah. Geez. You know, this is where failure happens and helps. I mean, if you want to learn from it, you can just realize, you know what, I don't really want to be in that spot again. And so you can choose to set up things differently for the next time.
And be honest.
And you got to be honest.
Justify.
No, you got to be honest. And you can't justify and be like, well, I'm just a guy, or I'm just this, and this is just hormones, or is this just this? Like, we can blame it on anything, or it's just the way I was raised. Like, that's just the way that I am. Like, you got to be honest. And you got to realize, who are you bringing in? Who are you bringing into this? You're bringing a sister in Christ into this relationship. And so think about you having a sister. You know, if you get, older, and now I have kids, I have a daughter, like, I want to be as whole as possible that I can be to bring somebody else into a relationship and to protect them, to guard them. I don't hear much from guys in relationships thinking about how they want to protect and guard the girl that they're with. It's not a priority in conversation. Yeah. It's not something that comes up like, I just really want to guard her and make sure this is a safe place. This is good foundationally for us. I don't hear that a whole lot. And so boundaries, the heart behind boundaries is really, that's it. It's not just eliminating things that that'll be fun, or that'll get us in, we can't do that now because of whatever, the Bible says. It's really, it's a guarding. The whole picture of it is a protecting and something, and caring for somebody.
And also, if it doesn't work out with you and this other person, you care enough about who this person will be with.
Yes, and so that
really
then
considering a lot of people.
Yeah, so then you're considering her future husband, or their future spouse. So it's like, it's a bigger picture thing, and you can get into relationships and being so just in the now, and what can happen, and there's, and it just undercuts the whole process.
I do want to say this, as you was talking about boundaries, two words came to my mind is responsibility and value. Boundaries breed responsibility. And he was talking about the guys a lot of times don't take that mindset, or they don't talk about that. But I believe that's because the picture of who we're supposed to be as leaders, protectors, coverers, that responsibility a lot of times has been just diminished in how a lot of society has pushed things. And so we have to be reminded that we have a responsibility to protect, to cover, to set boundaries. I always look at it like this: the dog that end up dead is the one not behind the fence. The fence protects. A lot of times it's like, oh, well, he want to get out. He want to play. But the fence is keeping him from turning into roadkill. Right. So, and I say value. I think about it like this. If you go to pick up a diamond earrings, diamond necklace, diamond ring, everybody can get to it. It's something restricting it. It's a boundary in place. If you want to touch this one, see this one, we got a key. We got to unlock the door. Then I can't even let you hold it. I had to put a special glove on and let you look at, like I'm just saying, it's so many because of the value. Right. And I do believe that we sometimes, we don't realize it. I don't think everyone realizes the depth of it, but I do believe sometimes we just devalue. We don't realize through our actions, we are devaluing this person, whether that be a man or a woman. You're young lady, young man, you're devaluing them. And, a lot of times we think that moment is never just a moment.
Right.
Oftentimes it's going to stick. And I know, now I'm saying this from a guy perspective. We may not say anything because it's kind of like how we groom, but it even sticks with us. I do feel like with the young lady, it kind of sticks with them a little bit more because you're more emotional.
Right.
expressive in that manner, but it sticks with us, and I think about that, like, I want to encourage someone out there. A part of what helps you to come up to that level of responsibility is realizing what has been placed in your hand.
Right.
This is a daughter of God. And even if, it's somebody who may be struggling in their walk, before they're a daughter of God, you are a son of God. And God is entrusting you to get to the place he, wants you to get. So I'm just saying that, like, we have a responsibility. That's one of the biggest things that helped me with Santana when we were dating. It's like God showed me, I have entrusted my daughter into your care. How are you going to handle this? And I had to realize, if I'm going to handle this right, I can't do it in myself. I can't do it by myself. Having boundaries, I feel like, man, when we stay in communion with God, that helps set boundaries in itself, and so I just want to, boundaries, I just thought about responsibility, and I thought about value.
I was thinking, as you talked about value, if, say, a guy wants a woman of value, then they're going to have that level of responsibility. Like, you may want that, but if you're not willing to take that response, and vice versa. Like, if a young lady, I like how you say that, young lady wants a young man of value that has taken the time to cultivate that, then she's going to have to take that responsibility too. Mm-hmm. It goes both ways.
Yes.
And so, anyway, if you want that in your life, then you have to think about that.
And you got to think, it starts, you was talking about, and I just believe this, loneliness. Because if I don't fully value me, how am I going to fully value someone else?
Right.
Actually, what helps me to value them is realizing the value that I am,
right,
and even how I value myself. It's like, and I just want to say this, like, sometimes we say, well, that's beneath me. If you shift with a mindset, that's beneath me, that's going to take me, I look at a lot of things I did in myself. Some of those moments I wasn't valuing myself or another young lady, and I just look at how much it cost me.
Right.
And sometimes it could cost you, God is a God of another chance, but I'm learning people don't give us that all the time.
Right.
So you don't want to take that chance. And I want to encourage someone, like, if you're standing strong, just because it's challenging, you got to realize God is giving you grace. He's given us his word. He's given us community. He's given us helpers to help us. Like, God wouldn't I don't want to say ask, but he wouldn't tell us to do things that we don't have the capacity to do. We just have to put ourselves in position. That's what boundaries do. Boundaries are not just keeping you in, but it's also keeping the devil out. It's keeping these things out. It's a protection both ways.
Right.
And so I just feel like it's very important to encourage somebody who is listening, like, to keep standing, because in the end, it's going to be well worth it.
Right.
The traumas you won't have to live from, the things you won't have to keep, forgiving yourself from. And I'll say this, it's a great testimony for God to have brought you out of something, but it's a greater testimony that he's kept you the whole time.
That's so good. I've actually been thinking on that this week, is looking back over my life and seeing how God has kept me. Mm-hmm. And it makes no logical, I can't explain it. I can't say it's because of all these choices exact choices I made, mm-hmm. and it's just, that's the greater testimony. Yeah. It's like, look at what he's kept me from. This is mind blowing, what he's kept me from. But the value thing, I think, is really important, especially if you think that you're in a season of, or you're in a season of loneliness or whatever, or you haven't ever dated anybody, and you're just like the narrative that someone else being added to your life is going to change something for you, it's probably going to complicate things.
Yes.
Like, especially if you're at a stage where you still need to do some maturing, and this other person needs to do some maturing. So I don't know. I think it is a gift to be given time where you, like, just take the time frame off, like the pressure off, and just enjoy the life that you've been given, enjoy the things that you get to do. And and as you realize your value and become that person of value, that should attract somebody else that's doing the same thing. Mm-hmm. And then you'll have, like you were saying, much less heartache to have to go through. But if you think someone's your answer or a relationship is going to change the chaos in your life and you're already in the chaos, most likely it's just going to make it worse.
Yep.
Or make it harder. And now you got to consider this person. It might be a quick Band-Aid fix. You might feel like butterflies for, a few weeks, but then it's going to get pretty complicated.
Yes,
So I will say about Justin and our relationship, I already kind of knew. I had never dated anyone before Justin. I had, other guys, definitely like there was attraction and things like that, but I had never been in a serious relationship before Justin. So I had already kind of made some commitments in my own heart before I met him as far as boundaries that just from what I could tell, whether it was reading a book or hearing people talk, just seemed like good things to do. Just it. Like I was like, the alternative scares me. I don't want to get to that point kind of thing. So one thing that was pretty cool about what happened was that it was a cheesy conversation on both sides because we don't know what we're doing. We're in college, whatever. We're trying to do the best things. But he did sit me down and we had a conversation about, he officially asked me, do you want to be my girlfriend kind of thing? Very clear communication. It was great.
Wow.
But then also explained to me what his boundaries were, and that matched what was already on my heart, which I felt like was pretty extreme.
Wow.
Because it was not to kiss, and I felt like that was more extreme than what would be typically expected if you're trying to live a pure relationship out. And so I just was kind of shocked because I thought there's no way a guy would say this, And so knowing that helped me because I was like, okay, it seems like we're on the same page. And then that we can share that story another time.
Wow.
Because we did have to walk that out. And so we had to talk about it multiple times after that. But just the idea of thinking about the things in advance that are important to you, that I don't think that there's, just because we did that and we're convicted of that and committed to that doesn't mean that's a rule for everybody to follow.
Yeah.
But I knew just from I'm kind of scared, so I don't know.
Mm.
But he knew from experience that was going to be something that he didn't want to cross that road with me because he was like, I want to try different this time.
Yes.
Kind of thing. And so anyway, thinking about those things that are important and knowing that in advance just helps so that you're not getting caught up in the relationship and then having to bring things back. Of course, there's second chances. Of course, there's grace and forgiveness, but you can think about those things.
Yes. And I want to say I was glad that you made that point because I wanted to say this because I know we said it's a great testimony for God to restore you. It's a greater testimony to be kept. I'm glad that you said it because you and him were coming from two different places, boundaries from two different places, And I want to say that to someone who may not have had boundaries previously, it's not too late to settle down.
Right.
And then I would also say, look at what you have experienced.
Right.
And be truthful and say, okay, I'm setting boundaries from here going forward. And then I want to say this too. Don't allow yourself to just accept that, well, I'm just in this phase of my life, so I can just kind of do whatever. Because sometimes that mindset keeps you from setting those boundaries. And I think as I'm getting older, one thing that I've learned is as the younger I was, I kind of felt like I always had time or I'm going to always end up. But you don't want to derail your destiny by being reckless in a season that really could have been to refine and define who you're going to be, by doing things because I'm just going to be honest, some stuff we do, it sticks with you.
Right.
I think about, and this is not the whole, I want to say this is not the whole guilt over anyone's head, but I think about the scripture where David was like, my sin is ever before me. That's one thing I've seen that Satan does. He will try to keep reminding you of the times and so is you have to learn to live above those things. But what helped me set boundaries is, what if Satan can't remind me of something that didn't happen?
That's right.
And so if I set boundaries, he can't use this later, so I say that don't just allow yourself to feel like I'm just in a phase and I can do whatever I want.
And clean it up.
Yes, because it's gonna it's gonna be a part of your life whether you want it to be or not. And I think about my wife now. It was so many young ladies I had the chance to talk to that later when me and her started talking, I didn't even know she was connected with. And I thought about, what if I would have been just reckless in that time? It could have potentially hindered, well, no, I think I'm going to leave. I don't want to talk to you. You talk to. So I just say that like, that was something you talking about God keeping you. He kept me. I didn't realize what he was doing.
Right.
But he's a keeper. And I believe God is using us even in this moment with everything we've talked about to speak to someone who's been wondering, Lord, are you hearing me?
Right.
To say, I'm hearing you. I'm speaking to you and letting you know, hey, this is what I want to help you with. So.
Yeah, that speaking about reckless, I was just thinking if that is a mindset or a thought that, oh, well, it doesn't matter, I'll just clean this up later kind of thing. And I know that nobody would probably consciously think like that straightforward about what they're doing, but essentially that's kind of the mindset.
You'd be surprised.
Oh, maybe so. Maybe so. But, if it was that, it's not that easy to just switch your life like that on a dime, especially if you've been practicing something for like 4 or 5 years, like relational habits.
Wow.
To just think, oh yeah, in the future, I'll just be able to change this. You've already made this habit. You're going to have to break it. It doesn't just because you turn 25, 26, 30, whatever, automatically change.
Yep.
It really takes time to develop these habits and these skills and things like that. And so like you were saying, it is an opportunity, whether you are single or in a relationship, whatever, you have the opportunity to be refined. And then I like how you said it defines where you go in the future. And so just to be wise with that time, I think is a good message. So that's what we would encourage.
It's been a good hang.
It's been a good hang.
Good hang, good hang, good hang.
That's Doc right there coming out. Well, if you probably noticed that it was a lot of me and Darius here at the end. We had some other commitments for Justin and Brandi, but we did have a good hang today.
Good hang.
And we look forward to whatever we'll get into on the next episode.
And also, I want to put this plug in, Bethany. Y'all send us questions. Send us, some of the things that you're thinking, because we want to be able to make sure that we're touching and reaching you all in the best way that we can. It's good for us, but we also want to make sure we're effective. So, send us your questions, your comments. Let us know what you think about the pod.
The pod. Yeah. Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening to the Created to Be podcast. To learn more about FCA at Mississippi State, visit www.msufca.org and follow us on Instagram at HailStateFCA_. If you would like to become a financial partner, visit www.fca.org/donate to sow into the work God is doing through FCA at Mississippi State.